You know, Senator, one of my questions is the president's been criticized for not taking a strong enough stand against Putin, and yet we're putting every economic sanction down here. What else can we do? Should we expect to see a stronger stance? Anything else at your disposal right now?
Well, to begin with regard to Syria, that's going to be made after our military commanders have got the opportunity to work through all of the different options. I do believe that we're going to have a response to this attack. This was a chemical weapons attack that crosses the red line that the civilized world has said should not happen. It did happen. In the United States, regardless of whether people like it or not, we really are the big brother. We are the nation that's responsible in many ways simply because there is no one else to go to for taking the leadership role when it comes to enforcing these levels of war or these ways in which war can be utilized. Chemical weapons cannot be accepted, and the fact that they have been blatantly used in this particular case against unarmed civilians, that cannot go without a response. One way or another, we have to respond. The question is, how do we do it, and what tactics should we use? And then also, not just what happens in terms of how we attack and where we attack, but then what comes next? What should we expect as a response, and then what will be our response to their response? It's more difficult than a game of checkers. This is something that has strategic long-term consequences, and we should do everything we can to put those changes in a position that actually improves our standing in the Middle East.
What about the impact of now the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton, now taking over today as National Security Advisor? It comes amid growing concerns about Scott Pruitt as the head of the EPA. But I want to focus on John Bolton and his forcefulness in terms of dealing with bad actors and people like Bashar al-Assad who commit such atrocities again and again and again against his own people and children.
John Bolton gets it. He's been around for probably, 3 decades. He understands exactly what's going on in the world with regard to the bullies. He understands what works and what does not work. I think he will be a real strong voice. Some people will suggest that he would rather go to war than find peace. I think having that type of a person there, someone who understands when to use military force, but he also understands that military force should be a last resort. I think he gets that, but if you're in a position to where you're never prepared to use military force, sometimes your diplomatic efforts are hindered as well. I think he understands that. I think he's going to be a real asset to the president.
It was those diplomatic efforts in September 2013 with John Kerry brokering a deal with Russia to get the chemical weapons out of Syria. John Kerry then crowing later that we struck a deal where we got 100% of the chemical weapons out. That was on Meet the Press. He said that in July 2014. That didn't happen. So I just want to point out again and again when we haven't used military action, even this past January when there was a statement issued from the State Department, that Bashar al-Assad doesn't respond to that.
I think Ronald Reagan had it right. He said trust but verify. Right. Same thing happens today. You can make a deal, but you verify. You never take your eyes off of them. And in this particular case, I think we took our eyes off the ball.
I want to turn to the $1 trillion deficit. This caught me off guard. There are 5 former chairs of the White House Council of Economic Advisors that served under Democrats, writing an op-ed in the Washington Post about the blame game over entitlements in the budget. They write, quote, "It is dishonest to single out entitlements for blame. The primary reason the deficit in coming years will now be higher than had been expected is the reduction in tax revenue from last year's tax cuts. This year, revenue is expected to fall below 17% of gross domestic product, the lowest it's been in the past 40 years. Senator, they are blaming the tax cuts for the looming financial catastrophe that this country potentially faces."
Yeah, I think they're going to be proven wrong. I think, number one, the fact that we had a tax reduction in terms of rates, I think will bring in more revenue long term. I am certain that if we would not have had these tax rate reductions, we would not have grown our economy. We were at 1.8%. We were stagnant on the economy. If we can get to 2.2%, we will pay for that tax reduction that we did. with an increase in the economy. But next of all, we can't get to the point where we can pay for the entitlements that we're promising people today unless we grow this economy in excess of 3%. We need to be between 3 and 4%. A couple of things had to happen. We had to have a good tax policy. We've got one in place now. That will pay dividends. Second of all, you have to reduce the regulatory morass that we've got that is slowing down our businesses. We've got a president right now that is driving that forward. Over 2,000 regulations have been eliminated already, and there's more to come. And finally, and this is the critical part right now, we need workforce. Workforce development is critical. If we can get a workforce system in place, one in which we've got readily prepared workers to come to work, we can come in close to 4%. We can pay for the government programs that right now are on the books. If we can't do that, then we've got real problems on our hands. But we've got to grow our way out of this, and we've got to slow down the increases in entitlement programs. And by that, some people say that Social Security is not an entitlement. I agree, but it is a mandatory program. Medicare is not an entitlement, but it is a mandatory program. Medicaid is an entitlement, and that one is growing. But, you know, if you've got people that are actually out working, and that's a great thing for the economy to have them working. If they're working, then in many cases they don't need the Medicaid, right, which reduces our costs there. Right. Finally, and this is really important, we've got to do something because we can't continue to increase our national debt. We've got to have an economy which is growing, and we've got to slow down the increases in that debt, and eventually we got to start retiring.
You need to tell your colleagues that about that omnibus spending bill.
Well,
Brian,
Senator, I want to ask about that because you've had this omnibus bill, $1.3 trillion in spending. Everybody knew it was a problem. Now we're coming back and hearing this talk about rescission. You know, we're going to take some of the spending out of this, but I'm hearing something only like $60 billion. I mean, that is just a drop in the bucket compared to the problem we have here. So it's nice to talk about the growing economy. I agree with that. But if you don't do anything about spending, what are we talking about here? And it seems like we're not doing anything about spending.
We're talking about 1.3 out of about a $4.1, $4.2 trillion budget. That's the omnibus. It's made up of 12 separate appropriation bills that get all put together. But the largest part of it is defense. I will make no excuses for increasing our defense spending. Right now, we bumped it up, and that is the largest increase in the omnibus bill. So for those individuals out there that say you shouldn't be spending as much in the omnibus, take a look at where we actually spent the money. And like I say, the defense, we needed it. We're going to need it again in the future. We've got, as a matter of fact, I think there's going to be reports coming about the loss of life because we don't have equipment that's good enough to protect our young men and women. We had 60% of our FA-18s that were not operational. That's our primary aircraft on the carriers today. We had 3 nuclear submarines sitting at dock. We couldn't get in to get them rehabbed and get their second life put in with nuclear fuel because we didn't have the money to do it. So I make no excuses for spending more money on defense.
Senator Mike Rounds, thank you so much. Great to see you, Senator. Take care.
You bet. Thank you.